The most tumultuous election in recent American history is in the bag. Kind of. Get your coffee. Normally I record coffee time in the morning, but I'm doing this now at 11:50 p.m. on November 3rd. I've got no coffee. It's not really the time for coffee, but it is always a good time for some wisdom from the scriptures. I've been reading through the New Testament book of James, and James is a proverbial book. It is filled with wisdom in small dosages. And really, wisdom is so potent and concentrated that it often is best in small dosages. But I think you would probably agree that our culture hasn't been getting its recommended daily allowance of wisdom for a very long time. We are incredibly wisdom deficient. So this morning, let's gather some wisdom from the Apostle James. James chapter 3 says, "Let not many of you become teachers, knowing that you shall receive stricter judgment." At nearly midnight on election night, there are a number of things that are not clear. But there is one thing that is distinctly evident at this moment. Polling in America is effectively broken. And those that have pontificated about their modeling and their analytic processes are about to receive a stricter judgment. Or as one translation translates that passage in James 3, a greater condemnation. And perhaps rightly so. There's kind of a reckoning that's going to be coming probably over the next weeks and months as it relates to polling in America. If you lead others with your words or in your work, if you lead anyone, period, you will be subject to a greater condemnation. So you should approach the position of leadership with humility and reverence. That's what this exhortation in James 3 is teaching. Humility and reverence are essential. And our words, and not just our spoken words, but our written words as well, whether they be in a letter or in an email, in a text, in a tweet, in a video post on TikTok or YouTube, our words are more powerful and more potent than we oftentimes realize. The Apostle James makes the point that the tongue is a very small organ, but it is able to produce devastating effects. And we all know that that is the case. In the same way that a small spark or small fire can kindle a massive wildfire. And I live in Southern California, so we know all about wildfires here. The tongue can destroy. If you can learn to govern and to bridle your tongue, then you are mature and self-controlled. And that is something that we ought to aspire to. James says that our tongue is full of deadly poison. And with our tongues, we can both bless God and almost in the same breath, we can curse people. And the apostle says in this passage, these things ought not be so. And this is where we get into the wisdom of ethics. Ethics is the question of what ought to be. We know that the tongue is an unruly member, and we know that we ought, by the enabling power of God, His Spirit, and His Word, we ought not let our tongues run unbridled. So, as you get ready to give your opinion in the day following the election on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, in the office, on the construction site, out by your mailbox today, remember what is and what ought to be. And we'll see you next time with some coffee.